What's up, everyone? All right, so this is an unusual day. You're not going to see this a lot. Today's a day where, guess what? No trades. When you watch the recap, you'll get to see what happened. But basically, this morning, the top of our gap scanner were two higher price stocks, and above $10, I always have to be a little bit more careful. Given the fact that yesterday I had a decent sized red day, down almost 6,000, and obviously given the fact that in the last week, I also, a week ago, had a pretty big red day, now I'm feeling like I can't afford to take a lot of risk, and so trading these higher priced stocks is very risky. Well, as it turns out, the stock that we were watching ended up this morning going from about, it was $38 all the way up to $70 per share, but on less than 100,000 shares of volume. And so as a result, the spreads are really big, at times $4 per share. And that is very risky. So could I have taken the risk and gotten a payoff? Maybe today I could have. Trying to take a risk yesterday certainly didn't work out. And when you've had a big drawdown, you start to bounce up and then you draw down again, you don't want to keep going down. You need to just minimize the drawdown as much as possible. Yesterday I had a little bit of a cushion from a couple green days on Thursday and Friday, but I gave back that cushion. So now I'm back to the bottom of the pullback. I gotta just dig myself out. And that means focusing on trades that I have a really high level of conviction in, where I'm not chasing it, I'm not giving into FOMO. And I felt the FOMO creeping up today as I watched this stock go from 40 to 45 to 50. I'm like, man, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. Now it's at 60, 70. But stayed, true to my rules, didn't trade it to the long side, tried to go short at 64, no shares available to borrow. And then the second one, made this kind of big move from about $6.50 up to $10, but then it came all the way back down to $6.50. So I'm glad I didn't chase it, and it didn't give me a pullback, so followed the rules. And today's a day where following the rules felt like punishment because I missed the opportunities. But of course yesterday, I broke the rules and I got punished for it as well. So, over the long haul, following the rules is what keeps you in the game. So live to trade another day, and we'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. And a reminder, guys, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm hosting my free day trading workshop. So would love for you guys to stop by, join me. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can click below to reserve your seat. All right, so I'll see you guys tonight, 7 p.m. And everyone else, I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning. All right, everyone. So we're going to do midday market recap today, go over the trades from this morning. Today was kind of a crazy day in the sense that we didn't have a lot of the kind of typical momentum we would expect. What really kind of led the momentum today was Hunt. This one was on our gap scanner this morning, and I'll go to the time frame here, 9:25 a.m. However, it really didn't meet my criteria for being the type of stock I would trade for a couple of reasons. Number one, the float showing here is 15 million shares. But number two, and more importantly, is that the price is $33. Yes, it was up 80%, but the volume is only 25,000 shares. So it's very, very light volume. And when the bell rang, it had really big spreads. Now, for me, I'm in a place right now where I've taken a couple of pretty good sized losses in the last week or so of trading, and I really need to cut that bleeding and start to turn it around and start to, make some money. So I feel like today I looked at Hunt and I was like, boy, this one has the potential to either, make it or totally break it. And I really cannot afford another big red day. I mean, I had a big red day last week, bounced back on Thursday and Friday, but then had another red day on Monday yesterday. And so, basically gave back those 2 days of profits, which puts me back at the bottom of my hole. I'm trying to dig myself out. I have to be really careful. When you're at the bottom of a hole, of a drawdown, the last thing you want to do is try to swing for the fences, because what can happen is you can double the loss. And you can just go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you can start to snowball. And you don't want to do that. I've done that before. What you want to do is you want to just start digging yourself out. And if you take a couple shovelfuls, you dig yourself out, and then you fall back down. That's okay. That happens sometimes, but you just got to keep going one shovelful at a time, one brick at a time, and make your way back up. So Hunt, for me, was one that I didn't see as being a small shovelful no matter how I traded it. It was either going to be a big win or a big loss. And so here's the bell. This is at 9:30. This is live trading here, my recording. And so right at the bell, we have ALDX, which was on watch, but also above $10, higher float. So I wasn't really feeling that good on it. And Hunt has a spread here of $2 a share. So I'm like, all right, well, I don't know about this. It's going to be pretty risky. And look, all of a sudden here, now you've got a spread of 33 by 36. $3 a spread. And look at that. 33.30 by 37.80. That's a $4.50 spread. That's a huge spread. If you bought 1,000 shares right there, you'd be down $4,500 on the bid. Now, I'm not saying that you need to take 1,000 shares. You certainly could have taken smaller size, but this for me, when I looked at it, even 100 shares, it's like that kind of risk is just it's not in my price range. It really doesn't fit into any of my criteria. But here we are, 37 on the ask. A 3-point spread now. Spread's tightening up a little bit, only 3 points. ALDX, I was kind of watching over $13, but then it ends up selling off really hard here, dropping back down. So that doesn't give me an opportunity. Hunt, 33.30 by 36. So still, 40,000 shares of volume. I mean, it's up 95%, but it's not giving me anything I can trust. ALDX back down to 12, so that doesn't look good. ATOS will curl up a little bit here, but pretty much I'm just like, well, I'm not sure. I don't know what I can do. So let's fast forward a little bit. So all of a sudden here, Hunt, now it's 35 by 39.50. So that's still a $4.50 spread, which is pretty crazy. And so I'm like, well, obviously I can't trade it. Like, yes, I see that it's making new highs. But I can't, that's not something that I can take a trade on. Let me pull up my chart here. I didn't have it up on my main chart just because I wasn't really focused on it all that much. Let's see. All right. I mean, I was watching it, but it was just sort of like, out of the corner of my eye. So let's pause this for a second. So I'm going to pull up my chart here. So the chart I was looking at on the 1 minute, come on, what's going on here? There we go. So right out of the gates, we had this little kind of 1 minute micro pullback, this little, consolidation. The high was 38, and here it pops up to 39.44, which is what it's at right now. But of course, at that point, still a $3-4 spread. So, I don't take the trade, and then you'll see it squeezes up here to 44. This thing ends up hitting a high of $70. $70. Now, even right now, 1040, it's back at $40, and it only has 200,000 shares of volume, even now. So this is very, very light volume. I mean, it's been, almost an hour later, and we've only added an extra 150,000 shares. So not a lot of people have really, pulled the trigger on it. And it's because the risk was, no doubt, very high. So, here you have it. And then boom, all of a sudden, now I'm getting a little FOMO, and I'm like, son of a gun. Look at this thing. Now it's at $44. Man, it's like, had I pulled the trigger with 1,000 shares or even 500, now I'd be up nicely. But at the same time, to take that trade would have taken a lot of risk. And after having a red day yesterday, my only goal today was to be green. I cannot afford to have another big red day. So at this point, I'm like, well, dang it. Looks like I'm going to miss that trade. It's going to resume from the halt here. So here we get the resumption. You can see I've got an order for 500 shares, but I'm like, I really shouldn't buy it coming out of the halt. That would be, pretty impulsive. I put an order at $50. I'm like, oh, maybe over 50, but then I'm like, well, man, it's only 73,000 shares of volume. That's throwing me off. The volume is so light. So I put an order for 250 shares, move it to $50. And I'm just kind of watching it. I'm like, all right, well, this is a little bit of a micro pullback here coming out of the first halt. Maybe this give an opportunity, but I don't know. And, volume doesn't really come into it. As you can see, volume doesn't come into it. I pull up another stock, kind of looking at other stuff. And now here you go. It's up to 55. It's going to get halted again. And I don't trade it. I'm like, well, it's only 85,000 shares of volume. And now it's, halted again. I try to get shares available to borrow. Don't have shares available. CTRM then hits the scanner with 80,000 shares and is halted. Now this is going up to $62. It's halted again, only 100,000 shares of volume. So, again, it's like, so actually what I said here is I'm going to take my first starter short. This is where I would take a starter short of 100 shares. And again, this is risky and I don't have shares available to borrow. So it's only, pretend, but this is where I was like, I think it's going to reverse. We've already got a couple halts going up. So I'm going to take a starter at $64 short, 100 shares. So I'll call that out for you guys. Some of you guys did have shares available to borrow. CTRM, you can see it's halted at 640. So it squeezed up and I say, you know what, I'd probably add another 100 shares right here at 70 because I think there's a chance it does a false halt. And even if it doesn't, I still think it's probably going to reverse. So now I've got 200 shares short at about $68 or so, $67. All right, so now we've got CTRM, which I'm looking at, and I'm like, on the one hand, you could say, well, geez, Russ, CTRM is also a maritime stock. You can see both of these are maritime sector, maritime. It's got a clean daily chart, no doubt about it. Daily resistance not till $9. Go ahead and jump in. But that 80,000 shares is what's throwing me off because that's very light volume. And so I'm just kind of like, I don't know, and I missed getting in before the first halt. So it's going to resume from the halt right here. Let's see, let's just pull this back here for a second. And it resumes from the halt, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, you've got 75 on the bid, but right below 75 is 650 and then 628. If this goes the wrong way, it's going right back down to 628 before you know it. And man, this feels like FOMO if I buy it here. So I don't buy it at 690. Breaks 7, goes to 715, and it gets halted again. So now I'm like starting to really feel FOMO. And I'm like, this is annoying. It's only 100,000 shares of volume. I feel like I'm following my rules. I'm following the rules that I laid out for myself not to chase stocks. And look, I'm sitting here on the sidelines while these two stocks are going crazy. And I don't have shares to borrow either of them, even at the center point broker. So I can't short either of them. I can only trade them to the long side. And here, okay, let's go back to Hunt. So we missed that here. So where was that? So Hunt resumes. Sorry, I missed this here. Let's go back. So Hunt resumes, and it resumes lower, as you can see here, and then it gets halted going down. So now, boom, it gets halted going down at 6. And I said, this is where I would add. I would be adding right here if I could. I would be adding here for the first halt going down. So if I could add another 200 shares, maybe more, I'd have, probably between 200 and 500 shares short at around $64 a share. All right, first halt going down is what I was looking at. All right, so CTRM, is going to resume from the halt and is going to squeeze up. And of course, now I definitely can't buy it. It's after the second halt. The risk there would just be too high. And of course, the volume is so light. And here you go. Now it's hitting 858. And I'm just like feeling frustrated because, following your rules and missing opportunities is annoying. And so today's a day where I don't have any trades. I didn't take any trades today because CTRM, I followed my rules and didn't chase it, and Hunt was out of my price range. So, it's like, man, if I'd broken, today was the day to break rules, right? Look at what I would have done, maybe. Some big opportunities. So, anyway, CTRM ends up resuming from this halt, ends up squeezing up momentarily to a high of $10, and then reversing. And so, when this one reverses, it gets its first halt going down. And CTRM right now is, let's see. So Hunt is back at $39, and CTRM right now is back at $6.37. It gave it all back. So, you definitely don't want to chase these. And to me, really, the best opportunity on these types of stocks when they start to take off is to wait for the first pullback. We really didn't get clean pullbacks. We certainly didn't get a clean pullback on CTRM. And obviously, we didn't get much of a pullback on Hunt. And so then you can say, well, if you don't get a clean pullback, then short the first, short the reversal. But that didn't give us an opportunity either. And now Hunt has resumed at $39. So my short from 64, we're down $25 per share. So talk about, a great reversal there. Even with just, 100 shares, that still would have been a really nice trade, but no shares available to borrow. So that's CTRM now coming down as well. So both of these just end up reversing, and that's pretty much that. So, and again, the thing that's definitely frustrating is when to be aggressive and when to be conservative. Today's a day where certainly being a little more aggressive would have paid off. However, there's sort of a combination of trade the market you're in, not the market you want to be in. Always be mindful of, what the condition is of the overall market. And then there's also just the reality of what place are you in right now? Because I'm personally in a place where, I really took a good slap on the wrist last week on a couple of trades, just got really hammered. And so, I'm in a place where I can't afford to be aggressive. I just want to try to really, at this point, if anything, close the month of March green. I'm down like 8,000 for the month of March from a high of being up 25,000. So, I just want to try to turn things around, get back to green on the month. And I'm not going to do it swinging for the fences. I'm not going to do it chasing momentum. I'm going to do it taking good quality setups. And sometimes you'll have stocks like this that will go from $36 all the way up to $70 without giving you a pullback. And so the only people that really make money on this type of move are people that are willing to be pretty aggressive. But obviously there weren't a lot of them, considering that even right now, it only has 200,000 shares of volume. And CTRM right now only has 500,000 shares of volume. So neither of these are really attracting a lot of volume. I think people are being a little bit more cautious after seeing some false breakouts. And, it is what it is. What would have been perfect is if this pulled up like this, consolidated sideways, held this level up here, and then I would have been watching it around this time of day for a move back up to the high, a bull flag. But it's retraced more than half the move, so the pattern is broken. So, that's kind of, where we're at right now. Like I said, today's a day where it's, 56th day of the year, no trades for me, which is disappointing. I always love to be trading, but it's better to sit on the sidelines than to get myself into, a really bad trade, especially given where I'm at on the month right now. So, I'll get a pat on the back for following the rules, which is better than yesterday, but the market's not rewarding me today for following the rules. And that is the only thing that is, I suppose, disappointing. Sometimes the market rewards you for breaking the rules. Sometimes you feel punished for following the rules. And you just have to have faith that over the long period of time, over the long haul, following rules is the best way to be a successful trader. So that's it for me here. We're going to have our workshop later tonight, so it's going to be a long day for me in the office. I've got a bunch of things I'm doing later or early this afternoon and everything. So I'm going to switch gears, get some work done, and I'll see you guys this evening, 7 p.m. for our workshop. All right, I'll see you guys all later. If you're still watching, you must have really enjoyed that video. So why not subscribe and get email alerts anytime I upload new content? Remember, when you subscribe, you become a member of the Warrior Trading family.